Good day and welcome. It's 2021 and we are back here on SportsDaz Camogie, our first Camogie show of the year. I'm Darren Kelly and of course I'm on my own today. We will have a new Camogie analyst join us whenever we get back to playing matches sometime in the next couple of weeks or months. No doubt it's been a difficult time for everybody. We thought we were returning on the 13th of January. We'll be talking about club championship action returning as we build up towards an All-Ireland series. As things stand, nothing is happening until at least February, and hopefully those provincial and All-Ireland club championships will take place. The leagues are scheduled for the beginning of March. We'll be looking forward to those games when they come back, but over the next couple of weeks we'll be talking to some of the people making the news week to week during this prolonged closed season, and today we have two very, very special guests. Offaly have a new Camogie manager, Susan Erner, the two-time All-Star, 2013 All-Ireland winner with Galway and two-time All-Ireland Puck Fada champion, will be with us to talk about going into her new role, the first ever woman to lead the faithful county. Westmeath had the news just before Christmas that Pamela Greville, arguably the greatest player ever to pick up a hurl for the Lakesiders, has retired after over 20 years service to the team. She has won All Irelands at 4 different grades, played for Westmeath in 5 different grades including the Senior Championship in 2020, and we'll be having a chat with Pamela later on. But before all that, let's run through some of the big stories that have happened since we were last with you back on the 17th of December. And even today, breaking news coming out as we are recording the podcast. Anne Dalton, two-time All-Ireland winner with Kilkenny, one of the greatest players ever to play the game, has announced her inter-county retirement. Anne Dalton, myself personally, I think she's a player of the year contender this year. I thought her form has been consistent throughout the year, not just for Kilkenny but also for St. Loughton's Lisdowney in the Kilkenny Championship as well. I've no doubt she will be an all-star contender when they are announced, but Anne Dalton has retired from Kilkenny. Other counties will breathe a sigh of relief, but what service Anne Dalton has given to Kilkenny over her career. With that being said, talking about players of the year or players of the month, the WGPA have announced their 3 nominees for December Player of the Month, and no surprises, they come from the 3 All-Ireland winning counties. Armagh's Ciara Donnelly, 13 points she got in that victory over Cavan. Kilkenny's Grace Walsh, what a performance she had in midfield. She's normally a wing back. She's also nominated. And Down's Niamh Mallon, whose scoring was consistent for the Mourne County on their way to victory in the All-Ireland Intermediate Championship. Speaking of Down, well, we know there's a campaign talking on at the moment about Down promoting Down to senior. The provincial fixtures that are out from the Camogie Association do not include Down and senior, and we just want to say here in SportsDaz, we think that is absolutely nuts. Like, we know it was said that there'd be no promotion or relegation, but in fairness, if a team wins a competition and they want to play up, like, what's to be gained by not letting them play up? You have 11 teams playing senior at the moment. Surely Camogie will be more beneficial with having an even number of teams, 12. Like, you could have 2 groups of 6 in the league. In the championship you could have the same, or you could have 3 groups of 4. A format this year with the 2 4s and a 3, I personally thought worked very, very well, and with a few amendments could be work even better with 12 teams. So not that we want to be taking sides in any battles in the boardroom, should I say, but SportsDaz, we are certainly on the side of Team Down, and we think that they should be allowed to play Senior Camogie for 2021. I mentioned Ciara Donnelly from Armagh. Well, Armagh got into a bit of trouble after winning their All-Ireland Premier Junior title against Cavan with celebrations. Now look, it's a very delicate matter too, and probably ill-advised in one way. They did not say what they're accused of being saying. I think that is important. It is stated on the record. They did say ooh, up Armagh, but in hindsight too, probably should have left that one alone. I'm sure no offence was meant by anyone. but that was the case anyway. And look, Armagh are playing Premier Junior next year. As far as I understand, they want to have another go at that competition again this year, and it's great to see Armagh Camogie back up there after, you have to say, 4 years in the wilderness after losing to Carlow, I should say, in the 2016 All-Ireland final. They really struggled for a couple of years, but Armagh are back and will probably go into the Premier Junior Championship next year as overwhelming favourites. If you're like us here at home, Ireland's Fittest family is back, and in the current lockdown, I think it'll probably be gaining more viewers this year among sports lovers. Not that it had a few anyway. Of course, Anna Geary, the 4-time Cork All-Star in Camogie, is one of the coaches. And there's plenty of involvement in the competitors this year. Just in regards to Camogie, Maeve Kelly from Antrim and her family are taking part, while Clodagh O'Halloran, who plays for Newmarket and Ferguson Clare, has played inter-county as well. She's also involved with her family too. So if you're looking for two families to cheer on with a Camogie slant, well, you've the Kellys from Antrim and the O'Hallorans from Clare. They will certainly be worth keeping an eye on. The Federation of Irish Sports Volunteers and Sports Awards are being presented virtually this week. That's a bit of a tongue twister as well when you say it fast. Every county having a winner. We're delighted to say that there are 3 Camogie winners. Breed McNamara from Clare, of course, you would have heard Breed here on SportsDaz before and on the Fair Green. Mary Donoghue from Laois and Emer Kenny from Limerick. Congratulations for your achievements in winning your county awards in the Federation of Irish Sports Volunteers in Sports Awards. Unfortunately, because this is Wednesday, you'll have missed Mary Donoghue's presentation for Laois, unless you saw it on Tuesday night, though I'm sure if you go into the Federation of Irish Sport Facebook page, the recording of that will be there. But tonight, 7 o'clock, after you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, Munster and Connacht are being presented tonight. Ulster has been done on Thursday night, so tonight you will get Breed McNamara from Clare and Emer Kenny from Limerick, so make sure you catch that. It certainly will be enjoyable. Speaking of Limerick, Pat Ryan is the new Limerick Senior Camogie manager. Pat has plenty of experience in Limerick and has been involved in a very successful team, so the Shannon Siders will be hoping that he can turn around their fortunes. A disappointing 2020 for Limerick. There's no point saying otherwise. They didn't really compete in the league, and after suffering defeat to Westmeath in the championship, it kind of went belly up from there. Of course, there was the issue about dual players and training and 9 players making themselves unavailable, so for Pat Ryan, hopefully he can bring a bit of unity back to Limerick. Let's not forget they were in the All-Ireland quarterfinals only in 2019. Staying with Limerick, sad news report. Carrie Clancy has passed away, a Limerick Camogie legend. She was involved, she captained the junior team to win an All-Ireland in 1977 in her 21st year out of 22 representing her county, and she was back 3 years later managing Limerick in the 1980 All-Ireland final. Her only appearance in the All-Ireland final so far went to a replay before they lost out to Cork, so our thoughts and prayers are with Carrie Clancy, Ní Galán, who has passed away. Of course, Carrie's grandnephew is Erinn Galligan, part of the Limerick hurling team that won the All-Ireland this year. Going to Cork, Linda Collins is the new Cork Senior Camogie captain. Of course, Corsie Rovers winning the county title for the first time in their 21-year history, and they've nominated Linda Collins to lead the Rebellettes into their 2021 competitions, and we wish Linda the very, very best of luck. As I mentioned already, Susan Erner is the new Offaly Senior Camogie manager. We'll be hearing from Susan shortly. Susan stepped in as interim manager last year. After COVID-19 and other factors led to management not being able to take training sessions, so Susan Erner has experience with Athlone IT, has been a goalkeeping coach in Offaly before and has done goalkeeping workshops and has plenty of experience representing Galway, and I've no doubt she will do very, very well. Staying with Offaly, Mairead Hawke is no longer the Offaly Senior Camogie chairperson. She has stepped down to successfully contest 2 positions in the Leinster Council. She is now the Register and also the Leinster delegate to the National Council. So well done, Mairead. She's always been very helpful to us here on SportsDaz since we started last July. In Westmeath, Pamela Greville has hung up the hurl. Well, maybe not for Raharney yet, all depends on what goes on with the All-Ireland and Leinster Club Championships, but over 20 years involved with Westmeath. She's won 4 All-Ireland titles at Junior B, Junior, Premier, Junior and Intermediate between 2011 and 2019. Like, to sum up Pamela Greville, Westmeath were playing Division 5 Camogie, if you look at the ladder, when she got involved, and she left them in Division 1. She's been their scorer-in-chief, one of their lead players, and arguably their greatest ever player. Of course, her brother Johnny was manager before finishing up this year, and her other brother Jimmy is managing Cavan, and we all know how well that's going at the moment. So Pamela, thank you very much for the memories. We will be hearing from Pamela later on as well. And finally, in this wrap up, move from Mayo Camogie. Mayo Camogie fundraiser at the moment. There's great work being done up there to promote the game, and we're certainly hoping that Mayo will be the next county to start fielding in the competitive adult inter-county competitions. They do have teams from under 14 right up to adult level. If you get a chance, have a look and give them some support. You can check out their Move for Mayo Camogie fundraiser by going to www.mayocamogie.com. So that's our wrap up, or a wrap up of a lot of what's happened. I don't think we'd have enough time to go through everything that's happened over the last 4 weeks. So we're going to take a quick break here now on SportsDaz Camogie, and in just a moment we're going to talk to the new Offaly Senior Camogie manager, Susan Erner.
I like listening to SportsDaz because he has famous celebrities and I get to listen to him. Darren Kelly.
Now I'm delighted to be joined by the new Offaly Senior Camogie manager, Susan Erner, who joins me here in SportsDaz Camogie. And first, Susan, congratulations on your appointment.
Yeah, thanks a million. I was involved with the group of girls last year. I was doing goalie coaching, so I suppose I'm lucky enough to have a bit of a relationship with the group already. I was interim manager there for the last 2 championship matches as well, so kind of left the end of the year on a kind of good note. So I'm really looking forward now to getting back into training whenever the lockdown ends.
And now, Susan, before we move forward and we talk about 2021, understandably, I suppose, as you mentioned there, you came in as interim manager last year. I suppose between COVID-19 and other factors too, it probably, Offaly were just in a position at the moment. How did it lead to you moving from goalkeeping coach into the interim role?
It was just unfortunate due to COVID reasons. The previous management were unable to attend trainings and things like that. And as being part of the management, I just offered my services to coach the teams, and it just went really well. The girls were really up for it. We brought a couple of younger players in from the junior team, and we got the numbers back up after they had kind of declined in previous months, and got a good buzz going again. It's just unfortunate we didn't have enough time really to do enough training, especially when you're coming up against All-Ireland champions of Galway. And we actually just fell very short when we played Wexford. So if we had another couple of weeks, I think we would have improved massively. But look, that's what this year is for, is to try put these things right now.
Because you said there as well, of course, the first game against Cork didn't happen, and then you're going straight into the Lions Den against Galway team, of course, that you know all about as well from your time playing for the Maroon and White. But you just touched on it there. A positive performance against Wexford in the last round, even if the result didn't go your way, gives you something to build on for 2021.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end we lost by something like 2 points or something like that. And I definitely think if we had a couple of more minutes to finish that game, that we definitely were finishing stronger. And we finished very strong in the Galway game as well. I think Galway only scored 1-2 in the second half. So, look, we have to take the positives out of those 2 games. And, at the end of the year, even though, when we didn't field against Cork, I suppose it was all doom and gloom, but the last couple of games kind of gave the girls a bit of belief, and I hope they bring that into the championship next year.
And the thing is, Susan, there's a lot to build on here at Offaly. I know it's a few years since they were competing in quarterfinals and semi-finals of All-Ireland Championships, but there's a vibrant club scene. They've always been a dogged team for the top counties to try and get over as well. So the talent pool is there. If anything, is just trying to get them to play to their potential.
Yeah, like you have teams like St. Rynagh's and Banagher who contested an All-Ireland intermediate club final last year and will be contending again this year, I would say, once they get through Leinster. If it goes ahead, that's of course if the fixtures go ahead. There's lots of very strong teams in senior. You have Rynagh's and you have Shinrones, and then you have up and coming teams like Kilcormac, Calahi. And then there's a lot of girls that are in junior teams that people wouldn't really know of, that are kind of coming into the fold as well. I'm just lucky enough to be working with the development officer, Cormac McGinty, and he's been kind of following these girls up all along. And he's kind of helping me to kind of bring in some of the best camogie players in Offaly. And I have another woman, Audrey, who is going to be one of my selectors, and she's kind of been there and thereabouts with a lot of the underage teams as well. So I'm hoping they'll have a big impact there as well.
As you mentioned, your backroom team as well, and of course Audrey Kennedy won an All-Ireland junior with Offaly in 2009. I think she was a soaring star that year as well, and JP O'Mara, who was involved in that great Burr team that won All-Irelands too. So plenty of experience there with you on the line.
Yeah, and I've actually added another coach to the team as well, Ger Scales. He's plays hurling with St. Rynagh's club there. He'd be son of Paddy Scales, chairman of the St. Rynagh's hurling club, and he's a teacher in Banagher and Cláshna, and I think him and JP will work really well together and hopefully put the girls through their paces.
Now, Susan, as luck would have it, COVID-19 is dominating the world at the moment. We can't do anything. And of course, when you're coming in for your first year in the job, it's the one thing you want to get working with the players. And as you mentioned, St. Rynagh's as well, you don't know their situation in regards to club championship. I suppose it's early in January where we're talking here. How are preparations going for 2021 so far?
Look, it's really frustrating. Any manager is probably pulling their hair out now at this stage. Every team is dying to get back. We're dying to get back. I'm dying to get back to see the girls as well. All we can do is really put plans in place and hope that the girls are accountable and motivated enough to kind of get through their weekly plans. And that looks to be the future for the next month anyway, I think. It's just, I suppose, the players being accountable, me recording their activity, and hopefully when they come back in February that they will be in a better position than it might have been at the start of January. That's really all we can do at the moment.
Hopefully it won't be too long before we can get back in the field of play. You mentioned earlier on that you brought some of the juniors in when you took over interim in 2020. How will you be working with the junior panel as well to ensure that as many players as possible are playing for Offaly?
Yeah, I have been in talks with Cormac, the development officer, and the chairman, and we were just talking about the importance of having a good relationship between the two teams. After all, your junior team is your building blocks for your senior team, and I do have interest working with the incoming junior manager to playing panel matches, maybe on occasion training together, but it's all down to what kind of restrictions and things we're allowed come February. But yeah, I definitely will be interested in working with the up and coming people in the junior panel as well.
Just a few more questions, Susan, before I let you go. It's probably an unfair question to ask, but is there any particular targets for 2021, or as you're saying, it's just trying to get these players to play at the potential that you know they can do?
Yeah, it's definitely getting them to play to their potential. There's been a lot of doubt within the group for the last couple of years. I suppose I really want them to gain a bit of belief. I want them to be competitive. There's a lot of teams in the All-Ireland Championship that are all on the same level. And I really think I should be competitive with at least 4 or 5, if not 6 of those teams. I'm not naive. I know the likes of Cork and Kilkenny and Galway are probably well above us. But at the same time, when it comes to July Championship, I would hope that we would give them a good battle. With regards to targets, look, we just take every match as they come. We'll try to climb the rungs of the ladder. as best we can. And look, let's be optimistic. Let's hope we qualify for the knockout stages anyway.
I've no doubt you'll be definitely competing thereabouts. Anyway, first ever woman to manage Offaly, I've been told too. What does that mean to you personally?
I didn't actually realise that now, to be honest, but I suppose it's not such a big thing anymore. I don't think, like, you have the likes of Anne Dalton now, and that have been pretty successful at intercounty levels, and you have the Irish women's soccer coach who's there as well. Look, we are few, but I hope in the upcoming years that there'll be more of us involved, because we do have a lot to offer. We have played the game, a lot of us. I think women have a lot to offer in the future as well.
100% agree with you there. And finally, before I let you go, of course, people know you as a two-time All-Star with Galway, winning an All-Ireland in 2013, All-Ireland Puck Fada titles as well. What many might know is that you're an All-Ireland winning captain with an Offaly team, because, of course, you went to school with St. Rynagh's and you captained them to an All-Ireland title, I think, back in 2004.
Yeah, a long time ago now, in 2004. Played in goals as well, and I played alongside some of my club mates like Molly Dunn and Paula Kenny and Michelle Moran, and we would have played with girls from Offaly, from St. Rynagh's, and then from Lura and Tipperary. So it's kind of a unique kind of team where we had 3 counties on the one team, and we actually played St. Rayfield in Loughrea. So I was interested. It was actually really good. Like, I think I was in my leaving cert year, and to win that was actually one of the biggest highlights of my camogie career. It's kind of something that kind of started me off, kind of playing at a high level, and still have the medal hanging.
I like listening to SportsDaz because I like to listen to ladies football and ladies camogie.
Now, I'm delighted to be joined by a very special guest, and as many in our county would describe her as Westmeath's greatest ever camogie player. Of course, recently retired as well, Pamela Greville. And first, Pamela, before we talk about that, thank you very much for joining us, and Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year to you too, Darren. Thanks for asking.
Pamela, on the 17th of December, I think it was, we looked at your Instagram account, and for Westmeath camogie fans, you made the decision that nobody wanted to see happen, but after the great career that you had, you described it as well as an amazing journey. I suppose the question I have to ask you is, why now did you make the decision to wrap up your time with the Lakesiders?
Well, there was a couple of things. I suppose at the end of 2019, after being such a successful year in both club and county, that'd be the time that most people would hang up their boots. But for a long time, as I've spoken about a couple of times, senior has always been my aim. One I never thought I'd actually reach, to be honest. But I was lucky enough to get that opportunity to give it a go. So I decided that I'll give it one more year and push as hard as I can and try and experience that senior status, which thankfully we did with COVID. It was looking a bit shaky at times. So come when I think it was October, played Limerick, and then we went and won it. So to me, it was just fantastic. And so it was well worth staying on for that.
And it was, like, even as you mentioned that game against Limerick too, it was a very positive year. I know you'd be disappointed not to make the quarterfinals after getting in that position, but I suppose even touching on the point you're making is that you got yourself into a senior championship. Westmeath proved they belonged there, and you beat a team that were in the quarterfinals only 12 months previously.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, when you go up from intermediate, when you go from junior to intermediate, there's a bit of a jump. But going from intermediate to senior, there's obviously quite a big jump. Now, if you're being realistic, like, you've got the 3 top teams at the moment. They're the top teams: Cork, Kilkenny, and Galway, and they're like way ahead of everybody else. But when we looked at it starting off the year, our aim was to try and get to a quarter final and maybe reach the standard of the Waterfords, the Limericks, and see, can we get there just a little bit quicker than maybe they got there. So going into the year, playing Limerick, beating Limerick, yes, we went to Kilkenny, the champions, in the end, and that wasn't the best experience in the world, let's say, but it's a learning curve for us. So I suppose what came out of the year after all the struggles and trying to keep going individually is that we aren't that far off Waterfords and the Limericks, and it's just getting the collective together and to work hard towards it, that it's definitely a very, very, like, achievable place to get to, is the quarterfinal.
Because that's the thing as well, and I'll quickly ask you about your journey to there in a moment, but as like you're gone now, Mairead McCormick is gone as well, but you've left Westmeath in a very, very good position as well, and no doubt there's many young talented players that can strive now to keep Westmeath at the top table.
Yeah, Darren, and I suppose when I was younger, starting off on the county teams, you weren't coming into a successful team. You were coming into a team that really wanted success, but they hadn't just reached it. So these girls now know how to get success. They know the work that's involved. They have the work ethic. They have the modesty, and they have the vision. They want to stay up senior. So we're starting at at senior status. We're starting with a very, very good I suppose, army coming behind all the young people, like the work ethic. I can't actually explain it enough. I've seen it even in my under-14s, the under-14s in Raharney. They're up training, practicing all the time. So the knowledge is there of how to get there and how to sustain it. And I think Westmeath are going to definitely stay within that status for a few years.
Speaking of Raharney, like we know you're finishing up Westmeath. I'm assuming you're staying on with the club. There's unfinished business there, try and win in All-Ireland.
Yeah, well, that was the plan, and then COVID messed up that plan a little. So my plan was to finish out 2020. So maybe back 5 years ago, I decided when I finish, I'll finish both. So 2020, they haven't officially announced the Leinster Championship has been cancelled, but I'm waiting. If it happens, if it takes place, I will take part, but I won't be going into the 2021 season.
Well, we certainly hope you still have a couple of games left in you anyway. We'll see how that develops as we go along. Just for our listeners to paint all this in perspective, Pamela, and we've touched on it already, but you have played in 5 different grades at Intercounty Camogie, like back in Junior B, if I'm correct. I struggle to think of another player that's won All-Irelands in 4 different grades as well. So, like, we're talking about going from Division 5 all the way to Division 1 over the course of your playing career.
Yeah, and I suppose it's something that I never actually thought about until last year when we won the intermediate. I never actually broke it down into that. I've always just kept going and kept going. So to be one of the ones to walk away and haven't been able to do all of that to reach what I wanted to reach at 37 years of age, I'm very, very lucky and really grateful for it.
There is no doubt times over your career, which has been over half your life, that you've thought about walking away beforehand. I know I read an article before where I lost to Laois a few years back. You thought about it at the time as well, but no doubt you're delighted to have concluded this journey. And of course, Croke Park has been a highlight of it, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Like I remember, I think I was 32 at that game against Laois, and you're just sitting there and wondering, will you ever get there? Like I always believed that we could, but sometimes they aren't reachable. But thankfully I stayed on, and playing in Croke Park is something I never thought I'd be able to do. And to be able to do it twice and to win up there twice, like I'm just so lucky, so lucky.
The 2019 success, of course, got you into senior, beating Galway on that day. A fantastic second half performance. But like, can you really pick between the 4 All-Ireland titles going up the grades? Like Junior B in 2011, I'm just looking here in front of me. Junior the following year, then the Premier Junior 2 years before winning the intermediate. Are they all special in their own way, or is that particular last one against Galway the best of the lot?
Yeah, like of course, each of them are fairly special to me. I suppose the Junior A, I think it was, Nancy Murray it was called then. That was a huge win. I think we were trying maybe 4 or 5 years to try and win that game, get out of that category. And when that came, that was such a huge relief to actually break through it. 17 was amazing, but 19, if I could bottle that up and keep it forever, that was the best ever.
It was a fantastic atmosphere on the day. I was there to see it myself, and a great result for Westmeath Camogie. Just a few questions before I let you go. Of course, now the question is what happens next? No doubt COVID is affecting life both at work and regards any form of playing or training.
Yeah, that's it. Just doing a bit of personal stuff with myself for mentally and I suppose physically. At the moment, COVID really has messed up my plans. I thought I'd finish at this stage. I would have played my last club game and everything would be finished off, but at the moment I don't know what's happening. So I'm going to take, once I do finish, if the club is announced, I'm just going to take a year out and get used to it. COVID, back the first lockdown, kind of opened my eyes up to, as much as absolutely loved everything I did, I'm so grateful for everything I did, but I also realised that I've been running and racing most of my life. You're just kind of going through the motion. So when I actually got to stop for a while, I was going retirement mightn't be that bad for me. So get into different things I've liked throughout the years and didn't have the time to do. So I'm just going to kind of explore that for the next year and see where it ends up.
I'm sure, Pamela, you won't step too far away from the game. I hear Stephanie is a decent Camogian footballer as well, and no doubt she'll continue the trend.
She will indeed. She gives me a run for my money at times. So yeah, she loves it. So I'll be on the sideline cheering her on anyway.
And final question before I let you go. Of course, there is stock in the family now between Johnny's exploits with Westmeath and Jimmy's not doing too bad up in Cavan at the moment. Will we see you in management anytime down the line?
Well, you'd never know. You'd never know. I don't know now if I'd be as good as the two boys. I'm better being out there doing it rather than being organising it. But look, I'll keep my options open and I'll keep an eye out and hopefully I will get involved somewhere.
And that was the recently retired Westmeath Camogie star Pamela Greville, and beforehand you would have heard from the Offaly Camogie manager Susan Erner, and we're delighted that they joined us here on SportsDaz Camogie today. Just before we wrap up the show, if you get a chance, check out this week's The Fair Green. It is with the Cavan Camogie captain Erinn Galligan. A fascinating story too, how she went away from the game which was her first love, played football, has an All-Ireland medal in Croke Park, was abroad, came back, started playing with the club again, and then Cavan reformed on the inter-county scene and nearly won 2 All-Irelands. They did win one, they won the Nancy Murray Cup. So the Fair Green here on SportsDaz, Erinn Galligan from Cavan. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll have the first SportsDaz football of the year. We'll be talking to the Sligo ladies football manager, new manager Anthony Brennan, and also to the new Donegal LGFA chairperson Siobhan Coyle. And we'll be back again here on SportsDaz next week with 3 more podcasts. With that being said, stay safe and well out there, and we look forward to talking to you soon here on SportsDaz Camogie.